Hi everybody, it's Carrie again, and I just got back from the local Costco and I picked up this whole boneless ribeye subprimal, and this is USDA choice. Couple things we've got going on right now. We're getting really close to Valentine's Day, so what a great way to cut some beautiful sweetheart steaks. We're gonna make some beautiful fillets and ribeye caps and get them ready for the spring grilling season. But first we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna demonstrate a couple knives here for our Range Meat Academy knives. This is our 8-inch breaking knife. And the 8-inch breaking knife is my go-to knife for everything. I use it for removing fat. I'm gonna take a little bit of this fat off here, but I would rather eat the fat. Some people, don't prefer it. So we're just gonna push this fat right off the top. So this is a 112 ribeye. I'm gonna just set my fat over here on the side. So I just pulled some fat off the top, and we're exposing this beautiful ribeye cap muscle on the top. I'm gonna flip this over, and you're gonna see that it's boneless because we have these intercostal muscles right here, and the ribs would be resting in between. This end here is a lot leaner, and that's from the loin end side, and the side here that has multiple muscles is from the check end. And you see here, if I take my knife and I scrape, I'm pulling off, and what we call this is bone dust, and this is from the fabrication process. It's left on the side, and I'm just gonna take that off. So if you're in the market and you pick one of these up, and we're gonna separate this, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my 11-inch cimeter knife or steak knife. And what I really like about the steak knife is how wide the blade is. And it does for a couple things. If you would want an 1.5-inch steak, it's a perfect measure for you to lay it here to know that that's where you're gonna cut your steak is one thing, but also the thickness of the blade going through the meat. So I'm gonna flip this over. And first thing I'm gonna do is you'll notice that my steak is kind of going at an angle. If you want, you could follow that angle all the way through, but I am personally gonna use this side for stir fry. So I'm gonna come back and trim this out for stir fry. So I'm gonna set this aside. And when we're looking for a sweetheart steak, what really gives it that heart shape is that ribeye cap that's along the side where that little fat is. So I'm gonna measure, take my knife, about a 1.5-inch steak. So what I'm saying right here, so I'm gonna take my knife, I'm gonna push straight through, I'm gonna pull back, and and that's our nice thick steak. I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna measure that, kind of see where it is. You can even kind of, if you want, you can even kind of take your knife and put a little indentation there so you can kind of have your mark to follow it through. And now we're starting to see where the spinalis muscle is changing. And that's what we're gonna look for when we start to create our sweetheart steaks. Now, I can also use this knife to trim, which is nice, just keep it straight down. I'm gonna leave as much fat as I can. Can always trim the fat later, but leave it on during the cooking process. So this is also a knife that's excellent for trimming. I'm gonna pull my fat and set it aside. Set these beautiful steaks back here. Now you notice this particular ribeye is a little firm, which is nice because you want it to be firm, especially if you're gonna, if you're not a experienced meat cutter or butcher like myself, that firmness helps keep its shape and it's a little easier. So when we're gonna cut our sweetheart steaks, basically what we're doing is we're gonna open it up like it's a book. Now I'm not gonna do my big thick 1.5-inch looking monster steaks that I did just a second ago. I'm gonna stick with our 11-inch cimeter steak knife, and I'm gonna go about, now your knuckle is 1 inch, so you can go anywhere from 1 inch to 3/4. And I'm gonna take my knife and I'm gonna draw it. And what we wanna be really careful is to come through, but we don't wanna come all the way through, okay? Because we wanna keep this intact. So see right here, we didn't come all the way through. Now I'm gonna take about the same slice, But this time I am gonna go all the way through. And we're gonna try to keep your even thickness all the way through. Open it up and follow your seam. Now I can set this aside. Now I'm gonna open this up, and you're gonna see here that, well, it maybe doesn't quite lay flat. Couple things. Take your knife, we're gonna release this fat section down here, and that's gonna help it lay flat. Or if you want, up here at the top. The real trick here is just keeping it together. So you could always, you know, depending on how thickness, you can always do that. It's gonna keep releasing. Now the rest of this is really up to you, and it's about trimming to make it look like a heart. So I'm gonna trim this tail a little bit more along this side. And this is our beautiful sweetheart steak. Heart steak. Now, sweetheart steak. Easy peasy, right? It's kind of an awesome thing to do. It's pretty easy to do. It's very popular. Great way to cook it. Reverse sear. So we're gonna take this steak, we're gonna put it in the oven, heat it up about 350, maybe about 8 minutes. And then you're gonna crank up your cast iron skillet on the stove, get it about 500 degrees, get that fan going. And then you are just gonna take that bad boy and put it on the grill, throw it in the pan. It's just like all this caramelization and Maillard reaction and all this yum yum is just gonna explode on that pan, and you're gonna get some unbelievably wonderful browning. And that's what really is gonna set the steak aside. Do not cover it in lime juice. Please do not do that. Lime juice will burn the meat, and it will be an aggressive acid, and it will overly marinate the meat. So don't do that.